Welcome, everyone. Just as a reminder, this presentation is being recorded. It will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, Artivism for Shared Humanity, for educational purposes. Welcome to the 11th season of Artivism, the power of art for social transformation, now in its 5th year. Before we begin, we would like to thank our sponsors, Adelphi University and Gottesman Libraries at Teachers College, Columbia University. Artivism draws from the book Illuminations of Social Imagination, Learning from Maxine Greene. The initiative has featured over 180 global, multi-generational presenters, including doctors, lawyers, filmmakers, musicians, artists, poets, students, and many others. This growing network of artivists share the same vision: to inspire social change through their diverse creative practices, and as Artivism's bottom line states, to nurture change for a more dignified, inclusive, and meaningful coexistence. Artivism, the power of art for social transformation, curates an annual multi-venue exhibition each spring through summer. This year's exhibition is entitled Reimagining the Future, Nurturing Change for a More Dignified and Meaningful Coexistence. Please visit our website for more details. And Carolina, hopefully you can tell us a little bit more at the end of the presentation today. So today our presenters, Fiorella Benavides Sanchez, co-founder of Arte para Tierra, and Felipe Vega are zooming in from Costa Rica. They will discuss the COPAN Association in Costa Rica that in the 1990s organized a community group, a remarkable collective of women, to participate in a state-sponsored social housing initiative based on the self-construction of homes. These women contributed 900 hours of building labor in exchange for a home. Through their collective effort, they transformed which was once Finca La Libertad, formerly a coffee plantation known as Guararí, into the neighborhood that stands today. Carolina, would you like to introduce today's Artivism ambassador?
Yes, welcome everyone, and thank you, Professor Argy, for that nice introduction of Artivism. It is my honor now to introduce Ms. Rita Ramirez Sandoval, that is today's Artivism ambassador. She is a certified technical assistant in comprehensive care for older adults. 9 years ago, she began a heartfelt initiative known as Club Caminos de Oro, a community space dedicated to the dignity, well-being, and joy of elder adults. Through this project, she has created opportunities for meaningful connection and active living. The club organizes gatherings that foster companionship, recreational outings that bring moments of discovery and happiness, and celebrations of important dates that honor the life's milestones. Beyond activities, the work of Ms. Rita also strengthens the bond between older adults and the wider community, weaving networks of care, presence, and shared humanity. Welcome, Ms. Rita Ramirez Sandoval.
Gracias. Ya cuento lo de- Bueno, el Club Caminos de Oro nació de la necesidad de dar calidad de vida a la persona adulto mayor. En Guararí teníamos una fundación, bueno, existe una fundación que se llama Padrinos en ese entonces, donde tenían adultos mayores apadrinados, pero no todos pudieron accesar a ese apadrinaje, digámoslo así. Entonces, bueno, mi pasión desde adolescente siempre fue como trabajar con personas adulto mayor. Entonces estudié asistente técnico para poder darles calidad de vida a los adultos mayores de Guararí. Mi idea nació de la necesidad exactamente porque habían adultos mayores que andaban por ahí como rezagados, que andaban por ahí como, ellos se sentaban por ahí en unas banquitas que habían antes en Guararí. Y entonces, no sé, me surgió la idea de que ya cuando yo terminé de estudiar y todo, me surgió la idea de formar un grupo de adulto mayor. Entonces me acerqué a ellos, les conversé, les dije mis inquietudes, y ellos estuvieron de acuerdo en que si la Asociación de Desarrollo Integral de Guararí me prestaba el salón comunal, que es donde todavía estamos ahí, formáramos el club. Empezamos como 25 adultos mayores, entre ellos 6 hombres, 6 varones, que pues con el tiempo como que se fueron retirando. casi siempre se han mantenido más mujeres. Entonces, bueno, esa idea me surgió a mí. Ahora el 25 de abril de este mes ya cumplimos 9 años de haber abierto el grupo. Ya, y aquí estamos. Yo le cuento a ellos que yo todo lo pongo siempre todos los días en manos de Dios y ya Dios es el que me ha dado la fortaleza para poder seguir adelante, porque no crea, a veces se le ponen a uno en el camino trabas, como que le hacen zancadillas. Hay personas que a veces se prestan para en vez de ayudar y apoyar, más bien como botarlo a uno, pero gracias a Dios hoy por hoy estoy aquí con el Club de Adulto Mayor Caminos de Oro, muy feliz, muy motivada. Ellos son sumamente activos y recibo mucho el apoyo. O sea, para mí la motivación más que todo es porque recibo mucho el apoyo de sus familias, de la familia de cada adulto mayor. Cualquier apoyo que yo necesite, ellos están ahí siempre presentes.
So let me summarize that. Doña Rita or her passion was to work with elderly people. So she took a formation. She decided then to help people from the communities, and especially in the Guararí place where people were like scattered around. Elderly people sat here and there, but there was no let's say a group or a coherent way to help these people, become a better community, so to speak. So she decided to open up the group Caminos de Oro, and she says that she places everything in the hands of God. That always helps her, because there are in many occasions people who aren't in the best intentions, or people who, they're just obstacles, but there's all kinds of people. So she's very passionate about it. A great group leader in Caminos de Oro.
Bueno, me complace mucho presentar a Fiorella Benavides Sánchez. Es una directora de teatro y gestora cultural, costarricense en formación de artes escénicas y más de 10 años de experiencia. Su trabajo, especialmente a través del arte para la tierra, integra teatro, educación, conciencia ambiental, enfocándose en la memoria colectiva, la transformación social y la creación participativa. Ha sido reconocida con premios nacionales en su labor artística. Una gran profesional para mí. Y Felipe Vega es un educador, músico, investigador independiente costarricense que articula arte, ciencia y transformación social. A través del ARTIVISM explora la relación entre la música, matemáticas y patrones factorales para revelar estructuras de armonía en la naturaleza y la cultura, promoviendo procesos de conciencia y regeneración colectiva. Un gran profesional también.
Thank you, Doña Rita. And so, yes, Fiorella is theater professional. She has been working in the projects, and after she graduated from the National University in a license degree, she decided to take many projects helping people throughout Costa Rica. And myself, it's a pleasure to be here again, because I've been here. And so I'm a musician, I'm an artist, a scientist, educator. And so my work is to connect all of those mathematical elements and different knowledge or kinds of knowledge into social transformation and the arts. So thank you, Fio. Can you please start presenting the screen? Very well. This is a nice image of the Club Caminos de Oro in a school. They built themselves. So it was a moment in which very nicely Fiorella decided to take them and show the students who built their school and let them know the deeper story behind Guararí. And so this idea of Guararí is a hard pill to swallow many times in Costa Rican background, because people feel that Guararí is a synonym of fear, a synonym of danger. And when we start looking at this place with different eyes, paying attention to the story of its origins, then a different perspective comes in, a different story, one that tells what these women did, what their dreams were about. And it's a very different idea of the notion that we have or get from the news every day. So let's continue to the next slide. All right. So Arte para la Tierra is Fiorella's project. She is a co-founder of this initiative. And what they do is that they lead community-based art projects that intertwine theater, education, and environmental awareness. In Guararí, then she started working with Doña Rita in the Club Caminos de Oro, and giving these women a voice, giving them a way of understanding that they were important, that their work was really important, and that this community owes it to them. So they've been creating artistic projects, they work in workshops, they do little field trips and the sort. So it's a very integral work they do there in Arte para la Tierra. There are other projects, but this one was especially worked throughout the year 2025. So mostly we have now been giving some continuity to this, but mostly the first initial idea was during the last year, and during that time they were able to do many things that I'll let you know in a little while. Let's continue, Phil. All right. So, you see, whenever we find ourselves with a place where society feels disconnected, it feels dangerous, it feels like our identity or the memory we have of this place is a negative one. There is the need of finding ways to address this, to understand it first and then transform it, right? So the idea of this transformation or of this project works with a triad, which works with the collective memory. First, they told their stories. They let us know what happened, right? We investigated further then, and these became then a storytelling practice. We started developing short stories that with little differences showed or presented the foundational stories, because in our small stories, the president is a nice guy who works with the community and the sort, but this was not the case for the real history of how it occurred, right? So little elements of change were added to give it a nicer perspective. So to give you a little bit more of a context, it was actually during the 80s that this initiative called COPAN, together with several women, decided to organize meetings where people agreed that they would fight for their right to have a home. So they took it to the level of going into hunger strikes, or taking it to the level of challenging the governments. So during the artistic practice or the territorial storytelling we modified a little bit those elements of violence and those elements of the sad story into little differences that showed us more value-oriented stories. Okay, so the artistic practice is also a part of it. They have workshops, weekly workshops, and so Doña Rita gathers the group every week, or maybe even more often, and Fiorella worked with them weekly, and so they gradually build up the stories. They build up a small theater, a Kamishibai theater, and they also produced some events of art. And in the local municipality, they have a cultural house, Casa Mardengo, and so they took the project to the Heredia community to show the rest of the canton. How do you say that? The region of the province, to show the rest of the province what it was all about. Let's continue to the next slide for you, please. So this is the map of Guararí, the original Finca La Esperanza or La Libertad. It was found in 1986 by a person called Fernando Cáceres. He found it in our electricity company, ICE, was the owner of the finca, along with the Arias family, which was the presidential family of the time. So they decided that this was the place where they would move these people, and part of it was done through the universities such as University of Costa Rica, the National University. They even had people living inside of the campus, so they needed to fix that, and part of it became this initiative. So they started working with architects, with engineers, to be able to start the first project. So Canadian based idea, alongside with these universities and the negotiations with the government, that these we mostly mention women because 99% of this work was done by women. So there were some faces, some masculine faces, but they're not the main characters of this story, right? It is mostly women who did pretty much the work. All right, let's continue. Once again, let me remind you that in Costa Rican media, we get all of the time, and especially the past few years have changed, but especially during the 90s or 2000s, Guararí had a very bad reputation regarding violence and insecurity. And so it was portrayed through the media as such. And part of it was because after the first project, the government, which the first project was very nice project, ecologically oriented. They worked with people from all around the globe, people from Europe or Canada were happy about this first project. But then the government started, competing with this initial work, and they started moving some of the communities which were dangerous into the area. So The first initiative was they built houses, not little ranches or yeah. So then the government like decided to compete with them, and they did this. They installed other communities in a very improper manner. So it you know changed the way that it began, right? That it was initially a very nice ecologically oriented community, and later on, due to governmental decisions, they started um, introducing communities of other people, many dangerous ones, and this area um, also has the characteristic that it has many migrants. 40% of the population in Guararí is a migrant population. So people come from other countries, they stay not very stable time, right? Like they stay a little while and then move to other places. So that's one of the reasons that why it was very difficult to work with these populations, because it was an unstable population, right? Let's proceed. Very well. So this this table shows very clearly that the narratives that they gave us and the reality of what happened is contrasting, right? We can see that originally they presented these people as, even they called them terrorists. They even called them local terrorists. And when the police arrived, they saw these are people wanting housing. They're not remotely terrorists. So even the police forces and the Cruz Roja were part of what they, let's not say helped, because that's not true, but they supported them in being able to make this a real project. So yes, this is a way, as you can see, that they showed us how it was supposedly happening, but in reality, there were projects that were very like questioned projects. Like they even said, as I tell you, that they were local terrorists, and some of them went to jail, and the women also did hunger strikes and also helped them to return to their communities. Right? They were very very passionate about it, and really they put their lives into it. Let's proceed. Okay, so yes, as RG mentioned, they were like 900 hours of work for them to be able to, uh, have their homes. So the women did the labor. They mixed the cement, the construction materials. They had to stay there at night guarding, because other people, as I told you, were coming from different places, and so they had to put up with tough resistance and difficult negotiations with the government to be able to get their housing rights. So before this, in the 80s, there were no housing projects in the government, and now there are some housing projects that they started happening, or they started taking into consideration because of what happened in Guararí. All right, let's proceed. And yes, so we have what this is to the left. You see a picture of the community center where Doña Rita works with the women. They are now all elderly women, but during the 80s and all, they had to you know, put up a fight to be able to have their places. So here to the right, we have a picture of the old pool. They had a swimming pool for the community. But that's also things that have changed. So later on, we will show you a video with more details about this of these elements. Doña Rita and the club with the elderly ladies, they gave us a tour around Guararí and the first project. So we recorded it very, very, how would you say, very I wouldn't say, like, I'm not a professional video recorder and I'm not a very good editor, so it's very simple, but I'm trying to give you the ideas. All right, now let's continue. Theo, it's your turn.
Thank you. Well, in this part, I'm going to tell you some ideas of the work that called Guararí, Stories of Women Who Built Their Own Houses. It was the past year, 2025. And to honor foundational testimonies through biographical oral storytelling and brings Guararí true origins back into public consciousness. All right, this is our participatory ARTIVISM module. First, engagement, entering the territory, hosting community meetings, and engaging in foundational trust-building activities. Second, documentation, gathering the raw material, recording oral testimonies, and collecting localized archival stories. Third, creation, the artistic transformation, conducting workshops to turn memories into visual arts or storytelling and scenic performance. The last, sharing, the return, hosting public events like exhibitions and intergenerational encounters to embed the art back into the civic fabric. Gathering memories from lived experiences to canvas. Working directly with the Caminos de Oro Club, facilitating visual arts and biographical storytelling workshops, extracting decades of dormant historical trauma and triumph, giving the woman a safe space to translate the 1980s experiences into tangible narratives. And then the return, where memory becomes education. The project culminated in public acts of civic recognition. The founding women returned to the exact school they built with their own hands decades prior. And by sharing their lived history directly with the new generation of students, the artwork closes the loop. Community memory is formalized as community education. The ARTIVISM as a tool for social reconstruction. It makes invisible stories highly visible, centers and validates women's historical resistance and leadership, restores dignity to marginalized territories, reframes civic identity, altering how Guararí sees itself and how it's seen by the rest of the country.
Sorry, can you come back to this one?
Yes.
Yes, to the right, we can see a picture of the Heredia, this is the Casa Cultural Omar Dengo, which is the local province cultural house. And so to the left of the picture, there is Fio. And in this cultural event, this particular one showcases Juana Maruja, which is our friend. And she, well, as in 2024, she got the Sing for Hope Artivist Award. And now her EP album is about to be released. So we are very happy to tell you about this as well. And so Juana sang to the elderly people, and she also brought to them her show of connecting nature to the life. And also you can see the small theater that Fio built, the Kamishibai Theater, next to Juana. And these were a couple of 2 or 3 activities that that were produced in the cultural house to let them know, or to give them a visualization in the community. Thank you.
All right. Feli. Feli. This is the slide number 14.
Yes.
This is your slide.
Okay, copied. Very well. So all right. So then again, community art, requires also a systematic approach. So right now, Fio is also including the municipal government in their meetings with the Club Caminos de Oro. So they have also been giving them guided tours inside the community, and they also have been working with building up a more maybe coherent frame of work inside of the governments, because as Doña Rita mentions, many times they do not respect elderly people's rights. So we have been trying to introduce these people from the government into into the meetings and into the framework to be able to take this one step further. Yes, let's continue, Phil. All right, let me read that for you. Art is not separate from life. It is a living act of memory, resistance, and collective transformation. Arte para la Tierra does this, right? We search a collective transformation, allowing not only the women, the elderly people to know what how valuable their work was, but also to be able to share it with the rest of the community. So they start reframing this vision. They start also paying more respect to their community, because if you don't see this in the media, if you don't find this somewhere else, then you will think, oh no, my community is place where bad people are raised. And also this shift is important for younger generations, so they start viewing their identity in a different way. Yes. All right, the following are some pictures of the group. So this the child is Fio's daughter, Sammy, and then Fio, you can see Doña Rita to the top right, and the rest some of the elderly ladies who work with them. Yes, this was the the big activity at the school. So this activity included the storytelling. It included a civic act of telling the children, on presenting them the people who built their school, and so they were very happy about it. Children, when they also got to know this, they came along and hugged the ladies. It was a very emotive activity, and so in this way, they also learned that some of their grandmothers and some of them, the elderly women of their community, were the ones who, brick by brick, yeah, they raised the school, they built it. So in that date, I really felt some gratitude from the children, from the school, from the teachers. They were very grateful for this. It was a very nice day, nice activity. Let's proceed. Part of the artistic elements included giving them a souvenir. So the original, as you will see in the video, the original community had the names of trees, and so we were trying to give this a focus, to bring back this notion and to build up this ecological perspective. So I painted trees with the name that, they are the trees of the names of the places. So we gave them a souvenir with the trees. These are local trees, and yes, the community has names such as Carao, El Roble, and the names of the trees were originally in the intended idea of the full project. So this was an artistic part that I did, and we gave them the pieces of art. They were very happy with them. Thank you, Phil. These are the women. Maybe you want to say their names, Phil, or Doña Rita. Tal vez les puedan decir los nombres de ellas.
Of course, doña Rita.
Bueno, primeramente está doña Nar Barquero. Bueno, la otra soy yo, Rita Ramírez, doña Daisy Argüello y doña Carmen Arcecano. Doña Hernán Fernández, doña Mayela Garita, Francisca Sequeira, doña Lucrecia, no me acuerdo el apellido de ella, doña Evelyn Villalobos, doña Mercedes Rodríguez.
Okay, this is the video. Me avisan si se escucha el audio. De audio. No.
No, debe estarle compartir.
Vamos a ver, pausarlas. Compartir sonidos del equipo. Creo que voy a dejar de compartir y a volver a compartir para ponerle esa opción. Optimizar para compartir sonidos. Guararí. Most people hear the name and think they already know the story. But this place, this land, was not born from fear. It was born from hands, from women, from vision, from the quiet decision to build a future.
Yes. I also have a video that I prepared with the tour that Doña Rita and the people from Caminos de Oro gave us at Guararí. So let me share the screen. Let's start.
Guararí es un indígena de aquí de Centroamérica. Es en honor a Guararí. Siempre ha sido así, en amor a la naturaleza, en amor a... Por eso todos tienen nombre de árboles. Porque ese amor por la naturaleza es la única salvación para el planeta Tierra.
Cuando guste saber algo de Guararí, usted está pensionado ya. Se sientan con nosotros y le contamos toda la historia, los sufrimientos.
Todos los días íbamos a marcha, huelgateamos, y traímos presos ¿cómo se llama? Hicimos hasta barricadas con las mujeres. Y las mujeres se quedaron conmigo hasta el final.
Hasta el final, ¿verdad?
Claro. Y los hombres, ¿sabe qué hicieron los hombres? Salieron corriendo.
Se me esconde para este lado, se me esconde para el otro. Vean. Dígale hola. Hola. No, qué bandido, ¿verdad? Estás del barrio. Tal vez en ese tiempo yo estaba más joven, ¿verdad? Y eran personas ya más mayores que se guindaban y nos veníamos guindando. Una a la otra nos agarrábamos para pasar a este lado. ¿Hace cuánto lo hicieron eso? Este puente tiene como unos 20 años, ¿verdad? Que lo hicieron más o menos, ¿verdad? Sí. Pero va a pasar. Decíamos que eran gente mala, porque ellos ya tenían sus casitas, tenían todo bien bonito. Entonces ellos, cuando empezaron a hacer ya el puente, ya ellos Guararí era el peor para ellos, pero ahí luchamos para tener la casita, que era lo que más necesitábamos, pero muy, muy bonito, y nos acompañamos, éramos como muy hermanables la gente que trabajaba, todos éramos como una sola familia, y ahora no, porque ya ahora ni conocen a la gente. Esta es la historia desde que inició las primeras reuniones, como le cuenta Carmen, porque Carmen sí luchó mucho. Carmen Ramírez fue una de las principales.
Pasaba aquí en el puente era un chorrito de agua así chiquitico que uno brincaba nada más, brincaba. Y ve ahora lo hondo que es. Por aquí se pasó varios años, se pasaron por aquí.
Para cuando iban a inaugurar ya las casas estas, 31, 35, los dijeron que hoy venía a trabajar en la tarde. Mucha gente salía de trabajar en la fábrica a las 2, 3 de la tarde. Santo Domingo no es como usted viene. Yo corrí con el embarazo, 6 meses de embarazo enferma, y corrí a repartir todas las invitaciones. Y ahí, hoy por hoy, está Guararí. Después de las 35 casas, que son aquellas allá se hizo plan piloto número 2, que es este. Todo hasta allá, hasta donde dando la vuelta, todo. Plan piloto número 2. Plan piloto número 1, plan piloto número 2. Después vino y ya empezó aquí, que es el carao. Aquí se llama el carao, porque había un árbol de carao allá. Ya después los demás proyectos fueron saliendo poco a poco. Poco a poco. Fueron saliendo ya primero plan piloto número 1, plan piloto número 2, el carao, después nísperos, el carao, roble, laurel, el sauces, nísperos 1, nísperos 2 y la milpa. Y fueron así, proyectos por proyecto, ¿verdad? Iban saliendo por etapas, iban haciendo en etapas. Y entonces níspero, que habían palos de níspero, carao, que habían palos de carao, la milpa, pues sembraban maíz, el roble, porque había un palo de roble, el laurel, porque había un palo de laurel. Y cada sector iba con sus nombres.
¿Sabe la historia que dice así? San José quemado, Heredia sagrado y al abuelo ahogado. ¿Ha sabido usted? Es que está yo pequeño ya.
La iglesia adventista, en donde está la iglesia adventista era donde había una cocina, donde se cocinaba para toda la gente igual. Tanto aquí, aquí en esta parte aquí, como allá por Sauces, había otra cocina muy grande para la gente que venía a trabajar. Uno cocinaba y la gente compraba comida. Sí, entonces, de esta esquina, jalábamos material hasta para allá, a las 8 de la noche, estábamos haciendo las aceras.
All right. So that was it. Did you enjoy the tour? Very well. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for your attention. This is Arte para las Tierras and Club Caminos de Oro, stories of Guararí.
This was amazing. This was so beautiful. What an amazing group of women, powerhouses. You know, you could see the power. It's just incredible. And I didn't know what Doña meant. Doña means somebody who's very, very respectable, who's earned that respect, correct? So they are all, in fact, Doñas. So, yes, thank you, Doña Rita. Thank you, Fiorella. I wanted to say thank you also to Felipe. We didn't say enough about Felipe earlier enough. Felipe has been on Artivism several times. He is a Costa Rican educator, a musician, an independent researcher whose work moves between art, science, and social transformation. Through artivism, he explores the connections between music, mathematics, fractal patterns, and ancestral symbolic systems to reveal hidden structures of harmony in nature, culture, and community life. His projects often combine education, cultural memory, and creative practice as tools for awareness and collective regeneration. For me, Felipe is a polymath. Thank you, Felipe, for helping with this again today and for being on Artivism. This was amazing, so inspiring. Carolina?
Definitely, this was a treat. Thank you for that beautiful trip, not only through the neighborhood, but also the strength and dignity that all of you, like for example, Ms. Rita that is here today, but all the other ladies put forth for a better future for their families, right? Before we open for the Q&A, we would just like to remind the audience that we have an upcoming open call. And in that exhibition is, what are you doing nowadays? Changing your mindset, how are you achieving that? And would your future self be proud of what you're doing currently? We'll distribute the flyer. We hope that you participate. You can send digital submissions and also tangible ones. But more on that to come. If you like, you can check it out on our landing page and also our social media. I had a couple of questions, but definitely we'll open up to the floor, and anyone that would like to comment or question our presenters today. Thank you again, Mr. Felipe and Ms. Fiorella, and also Ms. Rita, of course, for being here, for sharing all that you did and do and continue to do. Any questions, please? Well, maybe while we get it going, I had a question of why is it that migrants unite in Guararí? Why is it like a center for them to arrive, as you mentioned in your presentation?
Well, I think that the first factor is cheap housing, and that some of the areas there are built with ranches and large ones. So I've seen a pattern of migrants following where migrants went. So it's probably a word, they speak to each other about the place. They call themselves. They say, "Hey, come here. I'll receive you," and then we move. Or I think that it is mouth to mouth, probably aspect. And so. And I also would think of that, like cheap housing and people, many people in several ranches. I would say that those are some of the factors. Maybe there are others.
I see. And also, in continuation with kind of that public image, I was wondering, what does the media gain by not showcasing the true reality of Guaraní?
Well, creating chaos is part of a way of enhancing the power structure of a government. So, as I've observed in several of Costa Rica's marginalized populations, governments there have powerful propaganda structures, and they also it's not a bribe, but they give them promises, and then they get thousands of votes through those communities. So it's a matter of governmental control in several ways. And yes, I feel that also during the original negotiations they had, Mr. Fernando Cáceres, I believe he's kind of a questioned person. So they also decided, or they also had tough dealing negotiations with them. So that's why they were even called terrorists at some point. Mm-hmm.
And that definitely connects to my follow-up question on that regard. of replicating this model elsewhere, not only in Heredia or Costa Rica, but maybe in Central and Latin America or around the world, you know, because if that is the case, you know, it's going uphill somehow, even if you have the ladies or the people, and then you have the resources or the materials, and you're willing to put on the hours of work, you still have to struggle with this governmental control so that they continue the political hegemony that they prefer, right? How do you see all this? Is it possible to perhaps change this narrative somehow?
Maybe that's where Arte para Tierra's model of artivist intervention may be useful in other parts of the world, right? Because whenever you change the identity of the people inside, then they start shifting that in several other areas. Yes, but as I remember, the first project, they gave them the urbanization of the area, but they didn't they didn't give money for them to be able to build the houses. So it was a very self-organized project, but they also, they had the permission of the government, but they were not, the funding was difficult in several of the projects. That's why it was done through several stages, right? The first Plan Piloto was the first one, number one, but then there was Plan Piloto number two, and then there were other different projects that occurred during different administrations of the government. So these different administrations of government had, different ways of seeing this. From the people, what they say is that they united or they supported whichever government that was helping them. So they didn't have like a political party, but they were supporting the party that was supporting them.
So that's a way of being strategic about it also.
Yes.
Yes. And thank you for that beautiful video. What I was noticing, not only there, but throughout the photos as well, was the happiness, the family that was built, right? And the beautiful idiosyncrasy that the neighborhood has, because it has very unique, as I see them, art pieces on the wall, say with the ceramic tiles and things like that. Very beautiful, very beautiful spaces there as well.
Yes. The tour of the house, inside the house, everything hanging, the chimes, the plant holders and such. Everything was just so, like aesthetics plays a huge role, right? It not just how something looks, but how it feels, and it lifts your spirits. It's so no matter what's going on the outside, the pile of garbage and such, and walking through, you could see how things probably have changed and not always for the better. And then you come into their home, which is this beautiful sanctuary. It's just so beautiful. I can't believe the power of these women, everything they've done. And to you, Fiorella, for going in, and Doña Rita for, working with the elderly and help, getting their stories told to the young people. Storytelling is so important, something we don't do anymore. I grew up listening to my grandmother's stories. I learned my history, my ancestors' history, and it's just beautiful. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Well, I like to ask Ms. Rita something, but I'm going to ask her in Spanish, and then maybe you can help us with the translation, if you don't mind also. Doña Rita, un placer y muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Gracias por el trabajo que usted ha hecho. I'm just giving the thanks so that way you don't have to worry about that part. Pero le tengo una preguntita de su experiencia en lo que usted trabajó, en lo que usted colaboró, en cómo se invirtió y se se metió en este proyecto. ¿Qué nos diría, digamos, a otras personas que tal vez estemos pasando por lo mismo, ¿verdad? Como tal vez una frustración de que no tengo mi casa propia, no tengo recursos, el gobierno no me patrocina, no me ayuda, a veces casi, digamos, puede que sea hasta invisible para el gobierno, ¿verdad? ¿De dónde sacamos esas fuerzas para hacer una labor comunal, juntarme con otras personas que digamos, bueno, aquí va un bien para todos? ¿Cómo lo lograríamos? ¿Qué nos diría usted en ese aspecto?
Bueno, seguir metas, o sea, hacerse metas, seguirlas con mucha pasión y con mucho amor. Motivación, ya hay 1000%, ¿verdad? Y pues no rendirse, o sea, no rendirse, seguir adelante. Eso es.
Mm.
So she said that you have to first fix goals, then follow them with lots of love, lots of passion, and never surrender, to keep going all the way.
Thank you, Argy and Carolina. We are so happy for this, for having us.
No, thank you, and thank you for that wonderful work that you do with Arte para la Tierra. What other projects do you have coming up with Arte para la Tierra?
And this year I want to public my stories that we create in physical and give to the children of this community. And make the illustrations or the book.
That's beautiful. And, share your news with us because, in our newsletters and our emails, we do have a little tab, Artivism news and such. If you'd like us to share something for you, just email us. We'll be looking forward to your book and your stories.
Thank you.
Before we close, we always have a tradition here in Artivism to ask our presenters, all three of you today, for a key takeaway. The key takeaway for action. And we're going to start with Mr. Felipe, since you kind of know how it works, and then that way Ms. Fiorella and Ms. Rita can check it out a little, right? Therefore, Mr. Felipe, and the same goes for you, Ms. Fiorella, and for you, Ms. Rita. What will be a key takeaway from your presentation today for action?
Yes, I would go back to the Artivist strategy, in which you first engage with the community, then you start investigating, you develop your strategy, because it's not always the same, and then you apply it and give it back to your community. I would say that a matter of memory, dignity, and identity are the most important elements of such a project or sort, right?
Entonces la pregunta es que aquí en Artivismo siempre tenemos que, antes de cerrar la presentación del día, que preguntarles a los presentadores, ¿cuál sería su objetivo principal de la presentación de hoy para que nuestra audiencia la ponga en práctica? Esa es la pregunta que nos acaba de contestar del punto de vista Felipe, y ahora le toca a ustedes dos, ustedes señora Rita y ustedes también Fiorella, por favor.
I think we have to connect with the population or the idea or with the idea in the future, I think, like a vision. And follow your intuition, and practice all with love, and this, I think this. Y es la pregunta, no sé.
Bueno, yo diría dar a conocer los proyectos y que la gente sepa que se está trabajando con motivación, bueno, tenemos mujeres muy guerreras, entonces seguir adelante con esa lucha.
Excellent. Thank you. Just to briefly translate, Ms. Rita said, let people know about your projects and also let people know what you're doing, right? And what it is all about. And that you have a lot of motivation doing all of these projects and the reasoning behind also. That they're women warriors and that this strength is what pushes you forth. Professor Archie?
Yes, empowerment. Teaching our young people that, we all have the power to do this. We just all have to get together, work as a community, and push forward. Thank you for participating in Artivism today, helping reaffirm our commitment to amplifying the power of the arts to redress inequities, uplift voices from every background, and inspire social change, pushing society forward. To Felipe, Fiorella, and Donna Rita, and all past and present artivists, thank you for your creativity, your dedication, your courage, especially today, and for all that you inspire. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you back here in Artivism soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Always a pleasure to come back to Artivism.
Yes, it's great to see you always, and we look forward to hearing all your news.
Yes, I'll email you soon. I'll let you know more about our project with Juana and also about my projects.
Perfect. Thank you. Be well, everyone.